Good morning, Eleanor. Hi, cutie. And good morning, buddy.
What a day, what a day, what a beautiful day. Look at the sky, look at the palm trees. I got pieces of donut caught in my teeth. I'm very, very happy. So today is Sunday, just left my home group. Had a great meeting, wonderful people. And we helped celebrate someone's second anniversary of sobriety. Her daughter was there. It was very emotional. Yeah, it's a good day. It's a good day. I have yet to decide what today's Vlogtober is going to be about. I'm tempted to think about doing a Q&A. That's what I might do. We'll figure that out together sometime later. But for now, I'm going to go home. And my camera is filthy. I apologize. I'll talk to you later. Hey guys, how are ya? So it is Vlogtober day 6. I can't believe we're almost finished the first week of October in Vlogtober. So I'll be filming every day. If you're new to my channel, I film every day in October and in November. And I post every day. So first I want to say welcome to those people who are new to my channel. There's a ton of you who have joined me from Mikey Bags of Money recently. And a ton of people have joined or visited my channel from the video that I posted after my visit to the rally for Kamala Harris. I had no idea so many people would watch that video. I'm so amazed. But welcome, 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 welcome. So if you did not know, I'm a flight attendant. I don't speak on behalf of my airline, and it's against our social media policy for me to say who I work for. I try not to show the company name anywhere and blah, blah, blah. So please, out of respect to me and my job, please don't leave a comment with the airline that you think I work for in the comment section. It just makes things a little easier, so I appreciate that. So today, for Vlogtober Day 6, I'm going to be doing a Q&A. I love doing Q&As. Sometimes they're kind of scattered, which is the basis of my channel, really. It's the hallmark of my channel. But today, I'm going to try and keep it really airline specific, work specific, because there's a number of questions. If you leave a comment, including a question that you want me to answer, if I read the question or the comment and don't feel it's necessary to reply, because there's a lot of comments lately, I'll heart it. I'll let you know that I've read it, that I've seen it, by leaving a little heart next to it. If you don't get a little heart next to it, it's either that I haven't read it yet, your comment, or I'm leaving your comment for inspiration for a future video, or it includes a question that I want to get back to. So if you don't see that I loved your comment, that is why. So I just arrived at Goodwill. I know, I was just here yesterday, but there's a Goodwill on Sahara that I really, really enjoy. So I'm gonna pop in here real quick, and then I will start answering questions. At a stop sign, a stoplight, I just opened up my comment section, and the first thing I saw was, man, this guy is so gay. Yes. There was nothing, they weren't being mean or anything. They were just like, wow, he is so gay. And I'm like, yes, I am. Big homo. I can say it, you can't. Okay. All right, let's go to, where'd that come from? Let's go into Goodwill. Whoop, I just turned on my windshield wipers. There's a ton of glass, like, paperweights and stuff. There's a ton of things over here. I'm a sucker for paperweights. How much? Oh, $15. No, thank you. That is ugly enough that I'm interested. That's by Hall China. That's interesting. At $2. I'll look this up. Okay, looking. Love a gingham shirt. Tommy Hilfiger. It's not bad. $15. It's in rough shape. No discount. No, thank you. Alrighty, so now that itch was scratched, I just had to get to another Goodwill. After yesterday's success with clothing, I just had to go back. I didn't find anything. All I did was buy this stupid little plate, which I'll put cat food on. But let's get to questions and answers, shall we? So bankruptcy. That has been on the top of everyone's mind lately. It's been in the comment section for a while, not just recently. But if I said bankruptcy, an airline, you would know who I was talking about, because there have been so many airlines struggling with the topic. So my airline, people just love to talk about the company I work for. They just love it. It's all doom and gloom too, trust me. So bankruptcy, as I understand it, which is about this much, bankruptcy is an opportunity to restructure when things aren't going really well. And it is not doom and gloom. It is not a death knell. Lots of companies have been through bankruptcy. Lots of people have been through bankruptcy and have come out the other side. I can think of one presidential candidate who's had 6 challenges with bankruptcy and people are still voting for him. So, not to make this a political issue, because you know how much I hate that, right? So I'm not worried. If there is something like a furlough, for example, if that's part of the story, where the company has to shrink or contract a little bit, I am at 8 years in the company. I am probably in the top 23% of flight attendants. So if we were to restructure even greatly and contract and get smaller for some strange reason, I would still have a job and I would still stay where I am, because I love my job. I love my company. I love my job. I love my passengers. I love everything about the company I work for, especially today when we really are trying to bring a better value and a better experience, and we're trying to elevate to where I try to go anyway with my passengers. So I am set, even if there is some pretty serious furloughing. So I'm protected. I'm pretty safe for a long time. So I'm not really that worried. Do I worry about my brand new coworkers who have been here a year or less? Yeah, if we go through that whole process. So I've said it a couple times, I'm not going anywhere. Number one, because I really do feel confident we can come out through this. Number two, I am too old to start over again. I know, Herman, I know I'm listening to you right now. I can hear you. I really am too. I don't want to do this again. I don't want to go through training again. I don't want to be junior for the rest of my life in other airlines. And I like where I am. So, and I don't want to be based somewhere else. I own my home here. So add all that to the fact that even if bankruptcy happens and serious restructuring happens, I know I still have a job for quite a long time. So I am not afraid, and I do thank you for having such concern for me. But doom and gloom, get out now kind of comments aren't really that welcome or constructive. So thank you. I love you. Another question I had recently was about pay. Now, it's been a very long time since I talked about pay and how we're paid and structure, things like that, because I always think people know how we're paid. So we are paid in 2 main ways. There are some ancillary ways to gain some money, but in most airlines, this is the truth. So we get paid, for the most part, we get credit, which we're paid for, when the boarding door closes and the plane pulls away. And then we usually stop being paid when we have pulled in and the door opens again, when there are passengers on the plane, or if we have a ferry flight for some reason, there are no passengers. But so we are paid when passengers are on the plane and the doors are closed, and we are either on the tarmac, we're on the runway, we're flying. But when we land and those doors open, click, I stop being paid. The other way that I earn my money is through per diem. Now, I don't know what industries have per diem besides mine, but so with my airline, with our contract, I get $2.92 for every hour I'm away from base, from the beginning of my pairing when I check in to when my duty day ends, I think 30 minutes after we block in. So for every hour, I get $2.92. So if I'm away for base on a 4-day trip that might last 77 hours, I get paid $2.92 for 72 hours. So you can do the math there. I'm not gonna. So I might make $700, $800, $900 a month through per diem. Now, if the per diem, if the trip is longer than 24 hours, so I'm away from home 24 hours or more, it's tax-free, which is nice. If it's a turn and I'm not gone for more than 24 hours, that money is taxed. But on average, I really don't work many turns, if ever. So if I earn $850 in per diem, it's tax-free. Yay! Very excited, right? So that's kind of how I get paid. There are ways to earn more money. In my company, the only other way would be by flying lead. We get $2.25 or $2.50 an hour more to fly lead. There's also, if you get a credit card application approved, things like that, there's some money. Theoretically, there's money. We get commission when we sell something on the plane, but that's a long story. I haven't seen any of that for a very long time. But that is, in general, how we're paid, and a little bit about the bankruptcy / restructuring, things like that. So that's that. I'm going to hit the bank real quick so I can get some cash in preparation for my next trip, and we'll get to the next question in a moment. So I've got some cash in hand so I can tip van drivers, I can tip housekeeping staff, and I can have some cash in pocket if I go to a museum or something. It's nice to have some money on me. So let's get back to questions and answers. People have asked me what my favorite position is to fly on the aircraft. They've also asked what are my favorite parts of a flight. So it will be no surprise to anybody here, I prefer flying lead up in front. That's flying position A in my airline. I like flying lead because I know I can deliver my announcements with love and patience and care. I know that, well, let's just say I have a reputation, apparently. I discovered this during my last trip. I have a reputation. I wasn't happy to hear that, but it's quirky but firm, and I am fine with that. I am very fine with that. I want everybody on that plane to know that we're the good guys. We're here to help you. We're gonna get through this flight together. I have a way of trying to express patience, love, and tolerance, and trying to get that from our passengers in return. And I think it works well. I think I'm a good lead. So quirkiness definitely helps, but I'm also firm. If something happens or something needs to happen and it's not happening, I know how to get it done. And if you don't know what to do, I can make sure that you understand what you have to be doing, hopefully with some patience, love, and tolerance. So I like flying position A, which is lead. D, which is up in front next to A. Each airline has a different sort of placement of their flight attendants. I'm okay with D. It just means I'm up in front, which is good, but I really don't have any control or power or responsibility, so it's okay. C is good. I like flying C and back, but not during the summer. C in my airline does a lot of the announcements, and they're responsible for the aft galley, and they do part of service. B, I'm not a huge fan of. I will do it. B is responsible for the mid-cabin to the rear of the aft of the cabin in terms of passengers, just making sure things are compliant and things are good and safe and everyone's being cared for. So they're all good. I prefer A. During the fall, winter, I'll fly C more often. But in the summertime, I hate flying in the back because the back is where all the turbulence happens and you're up and down. Plus, there's 2 lavatories in the back of most of our aircraft, and that's just a lot of people. It's like all the passengers kind of pile up in the back. You've got 2 flight attendants, and it's just too much. I just don't like it. So I much prefer being up in front. My favorite part of a flight would be landing when we get home. But my favorite would be cruise, mostly because I enjoy my passengers so much. I mean, I have the best time with my passengers, mostly because it feels like I'm having sort of an intimate little gathering, and you're in my home, and I get to be the host of a little bit of a party. So I really enjoy interacting with our guests the most. When people say, what's the best part of being a flight attendant? My favorite part is actually interacting with our passengers. If they're having a difficult time, like in one of my last flights, someone's having a really bad day, and if I can bring a little bit of light to that, it's just so satisfying. It's just enormous. I just love it. So my favorite position would be my favorite part of a flight would be cruise, because we're going where we're going, and I get to interact with some amazing passengers. So I hope that doesn't sound trite, but there we go. The sun is coming down and heating up my phone, so I'm going to turn this off for a moment. I'll get back to you in a sec. Linda, who is always incredibly thoughtful and mindful, she's just a very nice person. She asked, how do you determine how many flight attendants will be on an aircraft if you're going to bring a gift or something? And by gift, she means like chocolates, or on my last flight, we had somebody bring us little eye masks, those little moisturizing eye masks that you just tuck under your eyes here on a layover. Very thoughtful. So in the U.S., for every 50 seats on an aircraft, no matter whether or not they're filled, for every 50 seats on an aircraft, you need 1 flight attendant. I'm not sure about internationally, but on an Airbus A320, which is most of the aircrafts that I fly, we have 4 flight attendants because we have 176 seats. Used to be 182. And on an Airbus A321, we have 5 flight attendants. And I think that's pretty typical for most of the industry. But in the US, for every 50, I can't even talk. For every 50 seats, we've got 1 flight attendant. So there's that. Let's look for another question. I think I'm going to continue this Q&A at home because the sun is roasting my phone when I have it up on my dashboard. But there's a quick question I saw from Mohammed, I think. Do I prefer overnights or turns? I hate turns. I will only really do a turn if I need the money. Honestly, I'd much prefer having a long layover somewhere. This month in October, most of my trips are 3-day trips that include a 30-hour or more layover in a city that I really haven't experienced before. Like I had a layover in Albuquerque. That was my favorite layover in years. I had a long layover in Hartford recently where I saw my friend Marcus. I've got 2 long layovers in Salt Lake City this month. If you guys know anything about Salt Lake City, or give me, if you have some suggestions on what I should do or see, please leave a comment below. And where else am I going? I'm doing Reno, a long Reno layover tomorrow. I just enjoy going to different cities around the country, hitting different museums, hitting some recovery meetings. I just love a long layover. And that, because I am still earning a per diem as I do this. Although it means it's usually not a high credit trip. So there's a give and take there. But I dislike turns entirely. So let's go home. I'm going to grab a bite to eat first. Then let's go home and we'll keep talking.
Oh, buddy, did you miss me? Did you miss me while I was gone? I wasn't gone that long. Yes. Look how she can spread her toes. Oh, you're really going in there, Eleanor. Hi. Hi, honey.
Whoa. I keep trying to force Buddy to hang out with me, but he does not want to. But hey, how are you? You're here with me, right? Buddy will come around one day. So let's get back to answering some questions and answers. So Remy asked, let's see, I'm looking at my laptop down here. Do travel agents get exceptions that regular passengers don't, i.e., liquid, shoes off at security, and so on? No. The only people who are exempt from most of those requirements from TSA are flight attendants and pilots. So as a flight attendant, if I'm in uniform, that's key, I can go through KCM usually with full-size liquids. I could go through with the giant coffee. I could go through with shampoo and conditioner, fragrances. I can really carry pretty much anything. There are exceptions like serrated metal knives or scissors or some, mace or ammunition for guns and stuff like that. So there are certain things I can't carry through. But a lot of the things that you as a regular passenger can't carry, I can carry as a flight attendant in uniform. So travel agents don't have any exemptions other than regular passengers. Let's see. Other question. If you don't stay in the hotel the company gives you, do you have a different hotel choice? No. Well, I mean, if I want to pay for it, certainly. But the hotel committee with our union works with the company in terms of choosing hotels, and they've got certain requirements that they have to meet for us, for them to be our hotels for the layovers. Sometimes those hotels change because the hotel can't keep up with those demands. For example, we have to have reliable transportation from the hotel to the airport, for example. And if that isn't reliable, we can't stay at that hotel anymore. So there are things that are required, and then there are things that are bonuses, like having a microwave in the room. It's not required. I would like it to be, but so no. If I don't want to stay in the hotel that the airport is going to supply me, I can certainly stay in a different hotel. Why would I? So there's almost never a hotel I wouldn't stay in for free. So there you go. Let's see. What is the craziest thing you've ever seen happen that caused a passenger to be kicked off? If I can share that. What has been the craziest thing that's made a passenger get kicked off a plane? Honestly, with my flight, it's just something like intoxication. Like that passenger might seem intoxicated. What's the weirdest thing I've seen happen on a flight? I saw a guy from Vegas going to Albuquerque do a line of coke off his tray table. But we were mid-flight, and we certainly weren't going to turn around to have that taken care of. I think I did ask for police to be available, but no one showed up. So there we go. What made you want to become a flight attendant? If you were not a flight attendant, what would you be doing for a living? What made me want to be a flight attendant? Well, at the time I got the job, I was living in a minivan in Tampa, Florida, which is not as sexy as it sounds. And I just needed a job, honestly. I had left Boston with, a great paying job, friends, family, blah, blah, blah. Moved to Florida to be with my exes, which was a really bad choice. I have a broken picker when it comes to men, honestly. But I was in a really difficult place financially. I needed a job. My friend Steven and Phil and Juan live in Atlanta. They invited me up to Atlanta for Christmas that year. While I was there, Steven suggested I look for a job in Atlanta. And the only places I was used to working in luxury, in something sort of aspirational for many years. So I applied for anything dealing with Coca-Cola, of course, it's Atlanta, and Delta Airlines because it's Atlanta. I also did get a job offer at Saks, but my friend Steven said, if you really want to be a flight attendant, I didn't. I'll talk more about that maybe. That's another great story video for future Vlogtober or for this Christmas in Vlogmas, that's what it's called. I just needed a job, and I applied for many different airline positions, and I got the one I got, and here I am. Let's see. If you were not a flight attendant, if I weren't a flight attendant, I would still probably be in fine retail, like Neiman's or Saks, because I really did enjoy it.
working on flat commission is exhausting, but after a while, once you build up a clientele, it's not so bad. And I do miss occasionally fancy things, but now I find those fancy things at Goodwill. So there you go. So that's those questions. Let's see if I can find some more. These are great questions, guys. So Traveling Stephen, great name, by the way, spelled the right way, which is nice. Have you ever overslept a wake-up call or driven late to the airport, missing your work flight? No. I've overslept a shuttle once in my life. I was in LA. Thankfully, it's such a close hop to the airport, but I've never overslept. I've certainly never missed a flight. I would die. Honestly, my whole body would collapse into like a black hole if I were to get close to missing a flight for work. I live about 4.5 miles away from McCarran. Oh, I'm sorry, Harry Reid International Airport. I live about 4.5 miles from the airport, and I leave the house at a minimum of an hour and a half before I leave, before my report time for work. There are people who commute from San Diego with using less time than it takes me to get to work. So yeah, I've never missed a flight for work, and I pray I never do. Do I mind if I have a minimum hour rest or a longer layover with fewer hours? So I would much prefer, it's hard to say, I'd prefer a nice long layover at a great destination with a few hours less credit than I would a slightly more credit trip with a minimum rest layover. Because, you know, frequently enough, I'm flying from the West Coast to the East Coast. I'm getting there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And if I have a 5 p.m. or an 8 p.m. report time to the airport later on, it's almost impossible to get a good night's rest during the day in preparation for an afternoon or an evening flight. So I'd much rather have a longer quality layover in a place I want to go with fewer credit hours, because I can always make up those hours with a shorter trip or picking up a turn, as much as I hate them, if I need the credit or the hours. Do you like early mornings or red eyes where passengers sleep, or afternoon flights where passengers are awake? I like a red eye. I love a good red eye, as long as the crew is good. If the crew is great, give me a red eye. I would love all of our passengers to sleep the entire time. And I usually know how to prepare for a red eye, so I know how to take a nap before, I know how to sleep in preparation before I actually have to go to work that night. So I'm usually well prepared for red eyes, and it's nice to have our passengers sleeping the entire time. Although I do feel guilty waking them up before we get there, because I have to have the lights on full bright, and they're like this, you know. But there are times when the crew isn't utterly fantastic. I'd rather have an afternoon flight where everyone's awake, because then I get the chance to interact with somebody pleasant. Usually my crews are awesome, so I really can't complain that often. But I think I would prefer red eyes or early morning flights where everyone's asleep, honestly, because it's just a lot easier. But a full flight with wide awake people isn't a problem either, because I love my job. If I hated my job, well, then I would stick with red eyes. But I love our passengers, and they are frequently the brightest point in my day. So give me some wide awake passengers. That's fine. That's fine. Let's see. Is it easier to find parking to go to your P.O. box than when you're on a trip? No, finding parking is always a nightmare. But when I'm just going there to get my P.O. box, I can just go there whenever I want and sit there as long as it takes to get a good parking spot. When I'm going to work, I really have to, it's like playing Survivor, trying to get a great parking spot at work for a work trip. This is one of the reasons I don't like turns, is just the simple fact of parking is a hassle for a one-day trip. So yeah, let's look for look for more questions. I'm scrolling through the comments under my in my YouTube studio thing, and so I'm looking for questions to answer. And I just came upon one of the subscribers here. Make it make sense. I love you. I do, and I'm not gonna. There's no question there, but I just read one of your comments, and know that I love you. All right, just Know that, okay? All right, let's look for another question. Hold on. All right, Brad asks, what do I love about my job and what do I hate about my job? All right, so what do I love about my job? I've already mentioned it probably a couple times on this flight. I love meeting our passengers. I really do think we have amazing passengers. People always think like Delta, Southwest, blah, 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 have the best passengers. I have the best passengers. I really have to tell you, my passengers that fly on my airline are everyday Americans. We are the same people. There's no one on my airline flipping their hair back going, well, I'm Diamond Blah. Well, hopefully they're not smoking on the plane. My passengers are everyday Americans with things to celebrate, things to mourn, happiness, sadness. We're all the same on my airline. And with our new package, we have our big front seats are kind of the first class or business class, and we have our Go Comfy seat section, and we have our regular Go passengers in the back where you can't even carry a carry-on. But even though some of them might be sitting up in the front seat, they are the same passengers through the whole plane, and I just love them. I really, really do. I'm getting kind of emotional thinking about, like, the best parts of my job have always been touched by passengers. We like to call them guests, but passengers just makes more sense when I talk. The other thing I love about my job would be layovers. I know most of the major cities in the United States as well as I know my hometown. So in effect, the entire United States, the sun's coming through my window, the entire United States is my hometown. Doesn't that sound wonderful? I mean, I know pretty much every city, larger city in America, and I'm perfectly comfortable everywhere. And I found that the places in the United States that I didn't think I would fit in because of being gay, because of being white, because of being a man, or because I've got whatever, purple shoes, I still fit in everywhere, and I'm not afraid anywhere in this country. And I think that's an amazing thing. It's an amazing gift. What do I hate about my job? That 8 years now, I still have to figure out how to sleep on layovers. It's still hard to sleep on layovers. What do I hate about my job? That there are still, I do have coworkers, and I've had coworkers in every industry I've worked in that don't seem to care about people as much as I do. And there are people in the entire industry on every airline, not just mine, but there are people who don't seem to care as much. They're not as invested in the relationship with our passengers as I am. And that's been true everywhere I've ever worked, at Neiman Marcus, through an eyeglass store to the airline. But working with those people that don't seem to care as much, and trying to treat them as equals with the other people who do. I don't know. Am I making any sense at all? So that's really the only thing I kind of hate the most, besides not sleeping. When I first started this career path, the thing I would have said I hated is the fact that we make no money. If you're in the first year or two in any airline, you're taking an enormous pay cut, or you have to be used to not making any money at all. I'm kind of lucky in that when I got this job, I was living on $3 or $4 a day, eating cans of beefaroni from CVS that was heated up on the dashboard of a car during work. I mean, so I was well suited to being a new flight attendant, but the fact that we make no money during the first couple of years is difficult. So new flight attendants, there's a lot being asked of them. They're being forced to work on demand, on cue. They're being told to work crazy hours, cancellations, delays, sick passengers. They're juggling, their babies throwing at them. I've had passengers pee on me. I've had a passenger, I can't say that they passed away, but these new flight attendants who are making no money are going through all of this stress. So being a new flight attendant kind of sucks ass. But yeah, that's my answer to that question. Let's see if I can find maybe one more good question. Hold on. Well, scrolling through my comment section, I can't see any other questions regarding work or my airline or being a flight attendant. So I'm just going to end this video here. If this video inspired questions on the topic of being a flight attendant, working for my airline, blah, 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 leave a comment in the section below. You can leave a comment anyway. I have a ton of new subscribers. I am so humbled. I am so excited. There's probably like another 150 new subscribers. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I don't talk much about subscribing, mostly because I really hate being pandered to in terms of subscribing to someone's YouTube channel. But if you want to subscribe, I would appreciate it. It does get me out there further in the YouTube world. And somebody has to remind me one day to do a little bit of a video on why I don't do sponsored content. Because you'll notice I don't do sponsored content. And why am I touching my face so much? All right, let me stop. I'm going to give the cat some more treats. Let me show you. Eleanor is back up in her favorite spot. And you'll notice she has her foot down here again. She just loves to support herself, but she likes to have her foot on the ground. Yeah, that's the video. I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, toodaloo, fly safe, bye.